Now, Republicans have released another plan to repeal and replace Obamacare, though it's not so much of a replacement, but just, of course, the gutting for protections for a lot of people with pre-existing conditions. Now, I have some of the details about the bill that I want to share to you about some of these changes. And, of course, the CBO will score this on Monday, so we'll come back and revisit it next week. Now, as far as the changes to the bill, it's mostly the same, but with a few notable changes to try and get some of the more conservative members on board while trying to retain some of the so-called moderates. All right, well, the first thing is actually a change in some of the tax policies. Now, the Wall Street Journal reported yesterday the bill differs from the original Senate version by actually keeping some of the taxes on the rich. Oh my God. They're actually keeping some of Obamacare's taxes. How much? Well, the two taxes being kept are the 3.8% net investment tax and the 0.9% payroll Medicare tax for high earners. Now, it still, however, repeals most of the healthcare taxes on the healthcare industry. So, man, you know why they did that is because they got to keep servicing their donors in the healthcare industry, those corporations. Now, according to the Congressional Budget Office, repealing those taxes would cost the government more than $170 billion over the next decade. And overall, the bill is still likely to cut taxes for the rich by several $100 billion. And it will, again, benefit mostly the wealthy, especially when you pair it with the GOP tax plan. So, another change, maybe not so much of a change, but something that stays the same at least, is the Medicaid. They're still going to gut Medicaid, but not by quite as much. Previous versions of the bill had Medicaid cuts of over $800 billion. This bill cuts it by $700 billion. Oh, look at how compassionate these guys are. It just flows from them like a river. So there's that. Now, those cuts, of course, would hurt the poorest of the poor, like the 1.4 million people living in nursing homes. So, now the new bill also allows insurers to not provide essential health benefits and contains a loophole that would let some insurers not cover pre-existing conditions. Now, the bill also adds $70 billion to the $112 billion already in the measure to in this what they call a stability fund. Now, that stability fund is basically premium support, kind of like what we had in Obamacare, to help people be able to afford insurance. Now, it also adds $45 billion in order to fight opioid addiction. Now, one more thing, one big change to the bill was an amendment authored by both Ted Cruz and Mike Lee. You know it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Now, his amendment is called the Consumer Freedom Amendment. Has Ted Cruz ever put up an amendment or tried to put up a bill that didn't involve the word freedom? I would be very surprised. So what is this Orwellian named Freedom Amendment all about? Well, basically what it would do is that it would allow insurers to sell individual market plans that do not comply with Obamacare's regulations, as long as these insurance companies promise to sell at least one plan in the insurance market that actually does fit these. So basically what that means is that as long as they have one plan that meets Obamacare standards, they can sell as many junk plans as they want. It's sort of the return of junk insurance plans. Now, these insurance plans are actually, they're far cheaper than normal insurance plans because they don't cover anything. Now, a healthy 21-year-old guy, you know, you might just be like, hey, man, great. That's going to save me so much money. That is until you get sick and then you realize my insurance is not worth anything. It's not going to do anything. It's actually worth very, very little. Basically useless. Now, there's another problem with that. And this amendment, which is in the bill, this is actually going to cause a bit of a death spiral. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, basically, since a lot of people will now have the option for going to the cheap bare bone plans and not the normal plans, not the compliant plans. Well, you still have the problem of sick people needing that insurance that actually is useful. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a majority of healthy people buying the cheap plans and not putting as much money in. That means that the people who are sick, who have pre-existing conditions, when they buy their plans, they're going to end up having to pay more. Their premiums will rise. That's going to price more and more people out of the market. As more people get priced out of the market, the insurance premiums for those same people, for pre-existing people with pre-existing conditions, are going to continue to rise. It's going to spiral out of control until it prices almost everyone out of the market. So again, that is your classic death spiral. And now when that happens, of course, and look, I don't know Ted Cruz's motivations, but I can only guess that that's the whole point. I want to create a death spiral so that I can say, look at that, health insurance is not working. Let's just get rid of all of it. Let's gut this entire thing, get rid of it. It's not working. Your premiums are going up. Thanks to my amendment, but I'm not going to mention that I actually sabotaged Obamacare, as well as the other stuff that they're actually trying to do, or that they have done to Obamacare, that will add on to this bill. So that's what's going on here. Now, they already are saying that the Obamacare is in a death spiral. That's actually not true. But this would certainly create that. Now, it's very likely, as I said, that this amendment, as well as the massive cuts of Medicaid, that's actually going to cause some so-called moderates, people like Suzanne Collins, who's already been excused from not voting for the bill, to not vote for the bill. Who they really want to get is Mike Lee and Ted Cruz. They can't afford anybody else to leave. So they've got to get 50 votes in order to pass this, since they, the way that they're doing it through reconciliation, of course, they actually they only need 50 votes. So here we go, man. It's going to be very, very close. Like usual, we'll see if they pass this train wreck of a bill or not. And if they do, look, man, this bill is not very popular. It hasn't been scored by the CBO yet. And there are two different versions that are being scored right now. The Ted Cruz amendment, which they need if they're going to get Ted Cruz's support, and one with, of course, without Ted Cruz's amendment. So we'll see how those pan out. But look, man, this is not very much different. Slightly better, but again, there's only so much you can polish a turd, because it's still a turd. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.